Well, the basic thing I can tell you again here is where we used to have that ice sled that used to come down through there, between that building and that building, down into the pasture. But it started way up where I was saying before. I make a big thing out of this because it was a big thing for us as kids. The ice sledding thing. We used to even pour water out there on the runway so that when it froze at night, it'd make it faster. And I used to have a lot of fun with that. Now the cement posts. Here's Kirk, you want to see our cement mixer? This is our cement mixer. And there's my grandpa there, your great grandpa. Yeah, this is grandpa, this is your great grandpa, this is Andrew Reinert, John Reinert, and this is Fred Reinert. He got killed in a pickup truck accident. But yeah, you see all the, can you see the posts that they were making?
I can, but I'm not sure if the camera can.
We'll talk to it.
Cement posts?
What?
They're cement posts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are cement posts. And this building right here is a cement building that was made with that cement machine. And my uncles, I think I made him uncles, and my dad, they had to throw all the gravel into this machine. And you can see that's all cement, clear up to the peak down. I didn't show that very good there.
The roof is cement?
No, the roof is made of steel. It was a steel roof.
Okay.
But I think on the inside there had to been some wood running across there, you know, that the roof laid on, you know. Oh, here's.
Why'd they make it out of cement?
Well, let me just show this. Here's that thing that shows it better.
Yeah.
From the south end, see how much cement runs up there and down and around, and see all the windows. This was a chicken house too. Big chicken house, 40-foot chicken house. But they had an awful time with the, for some reason they got a lice on the chickens, the hens. The hens got lice. And it was killing the hens. So they had a guy come out with some sort of black stuff to spray it all over the inside of the hen house to kill the lice, you know. And that didn't seem to do the job, so they finally built that. You probably didn't see it, but that hen house I was showing you earlier, yeah, they built that one in place of this.
Oh wait, that hen house that used to be a pig house?
What?
Wait, are you talking about the hen house that used to be a hog house?
Oh, yeah, that used to be a hen house too. You caught me when I said that, huh? Yeah, that used to be a hen house at one time. It went from here to that hen house that we were talking about, but then he built another one.
So why did they make that out of cement though?
Well, it's a long story. You know, back in the old days when my grandpa first got there, when he looked up there and it's all he saw up there was this prairie grass. No trees. So he couldn't get wood out of those trees because there wasn't any.
Okay.
So he'd have to go a long ways off to get wood, buy wood. Anyhow, wood was very expensive. So he made things out of cement. It was cheap to get gravel and
Okay.
cement, so that's the reason why. But I always, nobody, I never ever talked about that before with anybody, but there was no wood, you know. Well, I should mention it right now, as long as we're talking about this, there was no wood. My grandpa planted a whole bunch of walnut trees way out across the calf pasture. He didn't even have it in the grove with every place else. He didn't have it close to where the gardens were or anything, because there was walnut trees. And you can't grow things alongside of the walnut trees, like I find out. I got a walnut tree down below the hill here, and you can't grow a garden close to that thing. So he was smart enough to plant his walnut trees way out across the calf pasture, you know, like 400 feet away from anything else, you know. Anyhow, I thought it was very smart of him to do that, you know.
So he planted walnut trees for wood or for walnuts to sell at town?
Oh, well, you know, I don't know what he did with that. It could be that he did sell some of them walnuts. He had enough of them to sell them, that's right. Yeah, he did. Good question. Well, anyhow, you know what that is?
An outhouse?
There you go. That was an outhouse. That's the one we used. And I took a picture of it because there aren't many of them around anymore, you know. But that's the one we used. And that outhouse was very cold in the wintertime. And I explained that someplace else where, not here today. But, you know, you get up in the morning, wake up in the morning, I said, well, we have no furnace on the house. So we would, you'd go to bed at night and, well, I should say this much. We did have a stove downstairs we put wood in. But then the wood, we would stoke it up quite well, and then we'd go to bed. And that thing would, you know, burn all out during the night. Well, the next morning, somebody had to get up and start that fire again. Well, we always were happy to hear that because we were all in bed, sleeping, you know. We had a lot of blankets. And you could hear somebody mussing around downstairs there, fixing the stove. Well, when they got the stove fixed, then you'd be tickled to run downstairs and stand by the stove. Everybody's huddled around the stove. And anyhow, we were always happy to see that somebody had to go to the toilet, you know, out here to the back house. And if they did, we always kind of said, aha, there'd be no frost on the toilet, on that ring around the toilet stool, or the stool. There would be no frost on there because somebody had to sit there and the warm butt would melt the ice, you know, on it. You follow what I'm saying? Well, anyhow, we were always happy. Everybody had to stand there and try to keep from going very bad because we didn't want to be the first one up there. So anyhow, that was the outhouse. I had to tell you about that. And anyhow, looking at this thing is another thing. You know, we cut up the meat, you know, and yeah, let's go back to that. They were butchering the hogs. Well, then the meat from the hogs, we would take that and we would put that in a great big barrel, and it was salt brine, they called it, I think. And they would put it in, and we'd put it in there and leave it in there, and for some reason it made it cured or something. Anyhow, it did the meat some good. And so after at least a month to 6 weeks, we would take the meat out of the barrels and hang them out on the fences outside there. And of course, we'd like to do this while it's freezing out because you can't do that stuff when it's hot, you know, it's not good for the meat. So, we had this salt brine. Okay, the next thing was, once we got that kind of really dried off, hanging on the fence, we would take the meat that was hanging on the fence and put it into the smokehouse. I'll have to show you a picture. I got a picture of the smokehouse, but I don't have it here right now. But they made a cement smokehouse that was, it was hooded like that. It looked like that. It was round on top, you know, made out of cement again. My grandpa liked cement. He made a cement one, and that was like 8 by 12 foot long. Big, it was a bomb shelter is what it was. You follow me on that? A bomb shelter is about what it would look like. And well, anyhow, we'd have that smokehouse then. And we'd take the meat, and there's places in there where you could hang the meat up in there, and put hooks on it, and get meat hanging all over the place. And then Grandpa would go out in the grove to an apple tree and cut a limb off the apple tree and bring the limb in, and then he would start a fire and put the apple wood in there, because it made the meat taste much better, the smoked apple wood. And he would smoke that for days. And once he did that, then it was time for him to, well, they would leave it there and we'd use it up. But as when I was a kid, about 1935, we could haul the meat into town, and the meat market, meat locker, you'd have a place to put your meat in a drawer in there, you know. But we did not have a refrigerator, so we had to have something like that in town. So we'd go, and whenever we went to town, somebody would go up to the locker and get some meat and bring it home. That's what we'd eat. But oh yeah, the meat was something else. I don't have a thing to show what we did about how we. So I'm going to go back to this thing. This thing here, there's a building here. There's a chimney on it, and this is the last thing I remember we had this thing for was we had a pool table in there. That's where I learned to shoot pool. That was one of the best shots in Marcus when I moved there, because nobody else, none of the other kids had a pool table.
You had a pool table at home?
Out on the farm, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Believe it or not, one thing we had, and it's hard to believe that as poor as we were, we had a pool table. But we had a pool table with no cloth on it.
Oh.
We had everything else, and we had sticks, and we didn't have any cloths on the pool table. But it was what do you call it? The
Slate?
slate. It had all the slates, and we used to shoot pool on the slate, just plain fluid. And it worked, you know. And anyhow, we got to be, Cyril and I used to be two of the best pool shooters in Marcus when we moved there. Matter of fact, we didn't have any money, so we'd play a pool game, and whoever lost would have to pay for the pool game. Cyril and I never lost. We didn't have any money. So we used to make sure we won. And we were good shots, I'll say that. Not anymore, but.
Can you pause?